my mum messaged me the other day saying, I've just spoken to your granddad and he asked me if I've been listening to your podcasts that you've been on. And I was like, oh God, which podcast does he listen to? She was like, oh, I think it was with Hannah Witten. The title of that podcast is The Messy Side of Masturbation with Poppy.
Your granddad's like, what is going on?
In a monogamous relationship, some people class like liking someone's Instagram photo as cheating. And I get that, I've been there, but it's like now, once you've said like, okay, we don't mind if you do that, suddenly it takes away all the power from it and all the possibility to get upset, to be honest, because it's not an activity that breaks a boundary.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in kink parties rather than sex parties.
What's the difference?
So like a kink party, there would be like a dungeon and it's more around like BDSM, whereas a sex party would be like lots of bodies
swinging
fucking
everywhere.
Yeah, moaning, like the smell of pussy in the air. Like that's the one thing they don't prepare you for when you go to a sex party, is the smell. The thing that just comes to mind is just like all the piles of like, piles is a horrible word, all the like pools of just like unidentified liquids. Like, that's enough, I'm calling it.
Welcome back to another episode of Hushed, everyone. Today I have a very exciting guest. I say that every episode, but I really do. I'm so excited for this one. I have Poppy. Woo. Say hello, Poppy.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, Angel. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Guys, we're dying because I've got this random guy editing my pictures and sending me them.
It's like unhinged behaviour.
He's like sidetracked me so bad.
I feel like he's making them on Microsoft Paint as
My
well.
trail of thought is just like vanished in thin air. I'm like, wait, why am I here?
This isn't the fan mail you expected when you got into this line of work, is it?
No, I've been humbled, like well and truly humbled. Anyway, give everyone a little intro.
Oh, well, I am Poppy Scarlett. I run a online sex toy boutique called Self and More.
Would love to see it.
Yes, and Self and More's thing is that we are all about encouraging self-exploration, unapologetic pleasure, and we sell toys that are body safe and beautiful, like objects that you're not embarrassed to own.
No, they
like,
look the part. They're aesthetically
yes.
pleasing.
Exactly.
You can just have them as like ornaments around your house.
Yeah, and I do.
I actually would, you know.
Yeah, all those sparkly butt plugs.
My butt plugs. We love a butt plug.
We do love a butt plug. And aside from Self and More, I am also an online content creator in lots of different ways. I make content about polyamory, about kink, about sex, about sex toys, and I'm also a sex educator. So basically I just do like loads of stuff, but it's all about sex.
I'm so excited to get into this, guys. Honestly, like you're just so busy. I love it.
Yep.
But tell me how you basically started. Like how did Self and More come about?
So I always really wanted to work in sex in some capacity, but I hadn't really kind of figured out how.
Even from like a really young age?
Yeah, I think as soon as I kind of started having it, like, or even before that, like I was always really interested in it. Like my parents had this magazine subscription called Bizarre Magazine, which is basically like an alternative lifestyle fetish magazine. You could buy it in the newsagents at the time. I don't think it exists anymore. But
nah, everyone's went
everyone went
PG.
bust. Yeah.
Everyone's went PG.
And I used to find that they used to hide it, obviously, but I would find it every month and like look through the pages and just be like super obsessed before I'd even like been fingered or anything. I was
Before the action started.
Before the action started, I was looking at it and like reading about like all these weird kinks and like really niche things and like seeing these ladies in latex and just like always really obsessed with it.
I love latex.
Oh my God, me too.
Can you tell? Well, it's not latex, but you get the vibe.
It's latex adjacent.
But I love latex.
Me too. And I think that's probably where it came from. I don't think my parents know that they're responsible for that. Bit weird if you think about it.
They do now. No, but I know what you mean. It's kind of like second-hand responsible because you just stumbled across it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I somehow ended up working in marketing and just being like so bored by it and thinking there must be something more to life and like just so not into the 9-to-5 thing. And I got made redundant, got like a little bit of cash and thought like, this is it. This is finally the time that I can do something. And I'd been buying sex toys for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And I always found that the experience of buying them didn't really match up to the experience of using them and like the empowerment that I felt for them.
They're quite intimidating if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
They can be intimidating. It can be really cringe as well. And like quite a lot of the time, like a lot of the sex toy shops, like 5 years ago especially, were very much about like, buy this toy and impress your man. And like it was...
I get what you mean. It's all about for him rather than actually being for you.
Yeah, and all the marketing was like laid, like buxom babes in lingerie, like on a sofa like this, like holding their dildo, and it's like, that's not the reality. The reality is like me in the covers, like no makeup on, like having like an ugly wank,
order Domino's.
Double chin.
Oh, what should I do tonight?
Like with a fucking laptop in one hand, like vibrator in the other. Like that is not the image that marries.
It's true.
And I also felt that they were all like really unnecessarily gendered a lot of the time. Like it was very like toys for men, toys for women, gay sex toys, and like everyone in a box.
No, I know what you mean now that you've said it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that because a lot of the toys can be used A, on anybody of any gender, and B, genitals don't define gender as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, who is a sex toy company to say like, you're a woman, you should use this.
This is for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really up to you as the company. It's up to the individual.
Who's buying it?
So yeah, I noticed all of these things and just thought like, you know what, if this shop doesn't exist, I'm going to make it. Like, this is my chance to do something and like finally do sex things for a living. So I started it, I got a new job in marketing again, but I started the business on the side and kind of slowly built it up and started like talking about sex more online, started being invited to like talk on podcasts and stuff like that. And then the lockdown happened and obviously everyone was just at home like wanking furiously.
I was going to say, it's like a blessing in disguise, isn't it? Because I made my most money in lockdown.
Right?
I was rolling in it.
It was a good time to work in sex online, right? Like
it was great.
A really good time.
Everyone was home, did fuck off.
No one had anything to do apart from like masturbate. Like no one could go on Tinder and just have a hookup or anything like that. Like you were just stuck at home and everyone got bored of their hands really quick. And yeah, my sales just went from like this to like within the space of 2-3 months.
Banging, innit?
Banging.
Excuse the pun.
Absolutely banging. And I quit my job and started doing it full time.
Love that.
And then all the other stuff like the sex education, sex educator, like content creation, all of that stuff kind of naturally followed.
Basically just all fell on its own.
Yeah.
No, I love that. See, for me, sex toys, I actually find them like really scary. Like I know that sounds stupid, but I can actually hand on my heart say that I don't even really use them that much. We just know I love a butt plug. We spoke about this. Butt plugs for the win. I feel so bad if mum and dad listen to this. I'm so sorry.
Just like tell them to skip this one. Or tell them to watch it. They might love it.
Mum and dad will watch it. Don't even stress. Literally. I love butt plugs.
Yeah. But why do you love butt plugs?
I don't know. I just find them really sexy. Like, see if I've got a mirror behind me and I've got a butt plug, I feel like I can rule the fucking world.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's very aesthetically pleasing and they feel great.
Like dildos, stuff like that. Like honestly, that doesn't really interest me. Like I don't ever look at it and be like, oh, do you know what? I really want to use you today. But I see so much stuff of like people like raving about their toys and I'm like, oh, I wish I could be one of these people. Apart from my butt plugs.
Your butt plugs, they're doing enough. And
I
think this is the cool thing about toys is that you don't have to use them and you don't have to use all of them. Like if you have one thing that works for you, then that's great and you found that. So you don't need to go and invest in loads of other things because you already found the thing that works.
Butt plugs aren't talked about enough. I'm like,
they're not.
I see everyone talking about everything else. I'm like, where is butt plugs?
Where's the PR for butt plugs?
Like, why is no one talking about butt plugs?
We actually get quite a lot of questions as well, like what is a butt plug actually for? Like people can't really see the point of it if they, I guess, haven't had any sort of like anal sex
For me, I
before.
just think it feels better.
Yeah. Well, if you have a vagina, the butt plug being in kind of like presses everything together.
Can feel it.
Yeah. So then if you're having like penetrative sex as well at the same time, it's like angled more, the penis or the dildo will be angled more towards your G-spot.
Babe, my boyfriend's going to kill me for this, but he always gets cuts. Oh. Like, do you know like how the big jewel bit? Oh, no. Like, he always gets cuts. I'm like, I feel so bad.
But I love how he just keeps coming back for more anyways. Like he knows the price.
I'm like hinting because honestly it happened. It was cut really bad and I was like, oh my God, your dick looks like it's been mauled by Freddy Krueger. What is going on?
Was he upset?
A little bit, but I think he enjoyed himself enough.
maybe he's a bit of a
pain and
masochist.
pleasure. Like, he's not gonna. He was fine. He enjoyed it.
I think we need to get you a smooth bottom.
Yeah,
butt
do you know
plug.
what? I can actually come up with a good business
There
plan
you
for
go.
you.
There you
Like,
go.
they
You've
keep
got your
cutting.
story.
They keep cutting. You need to make one that's better.
I'll hook
for
you
me.
up. I'll find you one. They exist.
But I just love how you've got that. But one of the things that interests me the most, and you know this, is that you're polyamory. Ooh, talk to me more.
What do you want to know?
Well, for people that don't know what polyamory is, I'm knocking the mic. Sorry, violin. For people that don't know what it is, explain it.
Sure. So polyamory, I mean, it literally means from the Latin multi-love, polyamory. So for me, it's that I know that I have the capacity and the desire to love multiple people at once in a romantic way.
Honestly, why I can't fathom that is because see, if I think about my relationship, I love my relationship very much. Fucking hell, it stresses me out. And I'm like, how can you have multiple partners? Is it not adding more stress? Like, is there not more feelings involved? Like, is there not enough feelings?
I mean, sure, there's always an element of like, you know, stress and feelings in a relationship, but for me, the enjoyment and the satisfaction and the happiness that I get through loving multiple people
How
kind
did
of
it come
outweighs
about?
that.
How did you figure out for one that you knew? Like, did you ever, is your background of dating, like, is it monogamous? Was that how you normally were, and then you ventured out, or have you always known that you want to date multiple people?
So yeah, it's definitely been a gradual process more than anything. And like polyamory is just one type of non-monogamy. Like non-monogamy is a whole umbrella. So
there's even more to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And polyamory is probably quite the extreme end of it, where, you know, you want multiple committed, loving relationships like I do. But there's also, you know, there's swinging, there's threesomes, there's like monogamish setups. Monogamish. There's like don't ask, don't tell, where people can like fuck about, but they don't tell each other, which is not really my
No, it's not my vibe.
It's like
I'm way too much of a fucking psycho for that.
Yeah, it's like, to me, the whole point of my openness and my non-monogamy is that everything is communicated and
Communication's key, basically.
Yeah, and we all consent to it and everyone knows what's going on. So the don't ask, don't tell thing for me feels very risky.
Yeah, but do you know what? That's maybe why people like it, because there's a risk factor.
Maybe.
Like some people, I feel like float through life. That was a tongue twister. Did you hear that? I was like, blah, blah, blah. Some people float through life and I feel like they need the thrill.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the time the reason that people cheat isn't because they're necessarily unsatisfied with the person they
they're
have.
not
It's just because they want a bit of excitement.
Don't be a cheater.
Don't do it. It's not worth
Honestly,
it.
that's my pet peeve in life.
Exactly. Like break up with the person if you
see,
want
even
it.
if one
Or
of
be
my
non-monogamous.
babe, see, even if like one of my friends like cheats or stuff, I judge really hard. That's the only time I'll ever judge you.
That's fair enough.
I'm like, because I'm like, if you can treat someone that you're supposed to love like that, how do you treat me? How are you going to talk about me? What are you going to do with me? Like,
red flag. Big
massive
red flag. Yeah.
Like, you can be so many things in this world. Just don't be a fucking cheater. Like, we don't have time for it.
Exactly. I agree.
I'm spilling.
Oh yeah, to go back to your question. Okay, how did I come to it? So I have one partner that I've been with for 9 years.
Okay, so a long time.
It's like pretty much all of my adult life at this
long
point.
Time.
And we were kind of monogamous to begin with, but we were long distance. He lived in the Midlands and I moved to Leicester.
So it's a male. He's a male.
He's male.
Okay.
He's a male.
He's a male. I'm like, he's a male.
He's a male, everyone. I am bisexual, so I have partners of all different genders. But yeah, I've been with my partner who is a male.
Sorry, I just announced that. It's because I know you're bisexual. We'll get onto that as well.
Nice. Yeah, we've been together 9 years. And I sent him a message just saying like, I've seen this. Would you be interested? And he was like, yeah, actually, I would.
How long have you been together at this point?
Maybe like 2 years, but it hadn't been that serious.
Okay.
We'd been like, I'd moved away and it was kind of like we were just figuring things out
Like
again.
wishy-washy a little bit.
Yeah, like we never had a conversation about what we were really, like, because of just the nature of the relationship hadn't gone that way.
Yeah.
So then when we started kind of getting back together a bit after I'd moved, because we broke up, then we started getting back together, and then it kind of like opened up the whole relationship to for us to make it what we wanted. I guess.
So both your desires coming together.
Both of our desires came together. I was quite lucky, you know. If your partner says to you they want to go to a sex party, I'm sure lots of different things might run through your mind.
Oh,
you might be like,
100%. Ben was like, babe, I want to go to a sex party. I was like,
why?
What do you mean?
Aren't you happy?
What do you mean? I'd have a bit of a breakdown. But he was fine. It
kind of overlapped with fantasies that he had, specifically around like seeing me with other people. Okay. So for me, that was like, great, have my cake and eat it. Like, you want to watch me, I want to do other things.
A lot of men have that fantasy, don't they?
Very common.
Especially with women.
Well.
Yeah.
Very common. So we did that. We had a really great time.
Love that for you.
We had a really great time. We ended up going back with a couple, and in the morning, like getting the tube back, and I just remember like feeling really full of love and being like quite surprised at how much that experience had brought us together.
Yeah,
and,
so
like,
it made you really happy, basically.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, like there were moments throughout the party, like I had to lock myself in the toilet for 10 minutes and just like have a little pep talk, a little breather.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What's happening? What's going on? Got through that, threw myself into it, and it ended up being really good. So we came at it from like a sex angle, but then started like dating other people quite slowly, like being like just slowly expanding the boundaries. I guess
it's like one thing happens and then you're like, right, well maybe let's try this. Let's introduce this. Let's do this.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that felt good. Okay, I can do that. Let's maybe try this thing.
You're so lucky that you found someone like literally, and you've managed to basically blossom.
I know. I feel very, very lucky to have found that. And like, we're obviously still together now. And I feel like having that non-monogamy has, if anything, just made our relationship even stronger, because we don't kind of force each other to fit into any specific kind of box. We kind of let our relationship be what it is.
Because I think one of the misconceptions, or I guess for me, who's obviously monogamous, I think one of the misconceptions with polyamory is that a lot of people think it's, when someone in a relationship wants to venture out, that a lot of it is one-sided.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because, babe, on YouTube, I was watching some videos and stuff, and there was some videos where I'm like, I can tell that that's normally the man. And I'm like, I can so tell that this woman is just doing this because she loves this man. I'm like, I could never be that woman. And I think that's maybe why a lot of people are confused when it comes to polyamory.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It's one of the reasons why I speak about it so openly, because I feel like we have so few positive representations of non-monogamy and polyamory in the media. And a lot of the time it is people that are just being like pointed fun at, or it is one partner has led it. And, you know, you see the things like the Louis Theroux documentaries and stuff like that, where
it's not a great light to shed on it, is it? Because they literally look miserable and you're like, yo, you can so tell you're not into this.
Yes, you really can. Like, you can feel it.
I can feel it through the telly. Like, just leave.
Just leave. Yeah. And do you know what? I think some people do come to non-monogamy to kind of try and like fill a void. Like, you know, you see it a lot where a relationship's struggling and people are either like, right, we either need to have a child or open the relationship. Yeah. And it's like, actually, that's not the correct reason to come to it. You should come to it from a place of stability and self-understanding about
100%.
knowing that that's what you need.
Like, self-awareness is probably the most important thing probably when you're going into it.
Oh my God, totally. Like, especially when you start opening up as well, you have to become so like familiar with your own feelings and like introspective about, like, you know, because obviously jealousy comes up.
I'm going to call myself bluff here, because this is what I mean. I'm not a jealous person, but my brain goes TikTok. Like, I'm a Cancer. I'm very emotional. I'm very in tune with my emotions, and I feel like I'm really like emotionally like intellectual. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting fancy.
Intelligent.
But like, I feel like I could never do that because I'm so loyal to one. But people are just built different ways, aren't they?
I'm still loyal. I'm just loyal to 2 people at the moment.
Yeah. And would you open up to more?
I mean, I date casually other people. Like, something might happen. I'm not looking for like another relationship because there are only so many hours in the day.
I was gonna say, I feel like you're already so busy.
I'm saturated. I'm polysaturated.
Who's your other partner?
So my other partner is a woman. We've been together a year and a bit.
So still, it's like me and my,
Yeah.
So it's still a long time.
Yeah, it's still a long time, yeah.
So it's proper solid relationships.
Yeah, just met my mum, my family.
The family intros already. Yeah. Is your mum like, how's your family taking it?
Oh my God, my granddad right? My mum messaged me the other day saying, I've just spoken to your granddad and he asked me if I've been listening to your podcasts that you've been on. And I was like, oh God, which podcast does he listen to? And she was, so he's probably going to listen to this. And she was like, oh, I think it was with Hannah Witten. The title of that podcast is The Messy Side of Masturbation with Poppy.
Your granddad's like, what is going on?
My granddad listened to that. I'm like, for God's sake. But you know what? I shouldn't complain because I'd much rather be on that side of it. Like, yeah, it's a bit cringe, but I feel very lucky that they're
what was it
supportive.
you said about cringe? You need to tell the people. What was it we said earlier about cringe?
Oh, don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes.
Cringes. I love that. It's such a good slogan. Bless your granddad. Your granddad, like, masturbation. Oh,
he loved it, apparently. He told my mum to go listen to it.
People get so shocked when people's families, like, are very... What's the word that I'm looking for? Help me out. Why have I got a break? Like, they're very just supportive and just like normal. Like, sex is such a normal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like how we were created.
Exactly. It's like you literally did it. Pop me out.
Like, and people that are so like concerned about people getting naked and stuff. I'm like, you were born into this world naked. Mm-hmm. Why do you care?
I just don't know.
But is your granddad fine with it?
Yeah, he's cool with it. He loved it. And the reason I bring that up is because on that podcast, there was a bit where I was speaking about being polyamorous. Yeah. And my mum was like, yeah, I think your granddad kind of, would have liked to explore that by the sounds of it.
And hindsight, if you knew now what you knew then.
Granddad, yeah.
It's such a hot topic, I feel like, at the minute, because there's so many people that are like now exploring open relationships.
Yeah.
Because I feel like dating's just not the same these days. People aren't loyal. Like, it's really hard to find someone that has like the same values and stuff as you now. The internet's crazy. Like, I feel like life is normal and things that are not acceptable on the internet are so normal in life. Like this cancel culture and stuff that you've got. But that's why I feel like open relationships now are just so much more explored.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't really think it has anything to do with people like not being loyal. Because if anything, to be like polyamorous, you kind of have to be more loyal because you've got more people.
Is it more boundaries or is it not?
I think that there's the same amount of boundaries, but it's more just that we examine them more and we speak about them and we bring them onto the table.
Yeah.
So absolutely, like there's loads of different boundaries that we have. Like, for example, like boundaries around safe sex. Obviously, if you're having sex with
100%.
multiple people, you've got to respect your body and their bodies. So like, if
you don't want to be giving anyone chlamydia.
No, I mean, exactly.
Any of that
like,
stuff.
I don't want to spread shame around it because, STIs are normal and we get them.
They are.
But we also want to avoid them if we can. So like...
Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't if we can. don't want it. If I can avoid it. So just things like having lots of upfront conversations around sexual health testing and things like that, which I think a lot of the time people who are monogamous and dating, like not partnered monogamous people, a lot of the time aren't having those conversations from what I hear.
God, see if I ever, one of my friends, probably going to kill me, I'm not always going to say names. I remember one of my girls was sleeping with a guy and then we were in Ibiza and like she gets a text like,
I got a text.
Yo, got a text. Like, yo, like just like, like I've tested positive. And she's like, you definitely fucking knew before you stuck your dick in me. I would literally find their house. I would go fucking psycho. I couldn't deal with that. I could never be that human.
It happens, but you got to be responsible about your sexual health.
I feel like actually as men, I feel like women are very open and honest. Like if I had an ST, is it an STI? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had one and I was sleeping with someone, I could not
You
not
have to
tell them.
You have to tell them. It's
I feel
your
like
moral
men are
obligation.
just like, oh, it's fine. Like, she won't think it's me or...
Well, the weird thing that I find a lot of the time is that, like, men will be willing to have sex without a condom, without a discussion about it. And it's like, I don't know why you think just because I'm a woman, like, I'm less likely to give you something. Like, it's an exchange here. We should both be caring about our sexual health. And if you don't care about your sexual health enough to want to use a condom or to want to have a conversation or to get tested, you don't respect yourself and you don't respect me.
Where's the fucking self-respect?
Where's the self-respect?
Where is that shame?
I'm looking for it and I can't see it.
But I think, in your two relationships, are they dating anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you guys meet
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
So it's like dinner. Do you meet for dinner, stuff like that?
So there's a thing called kitchen table polyamory, which is like a kind of polyamory where everyone's partners could happily like sit around a kitchen table and chat. And for the most part, that's kind of what we all practice. Like not even intentionally, it's just the way that it's happened.
It's like a community almost.
It's
as well,
like a
isn't it?
community, yeah, exactly. Because I'm also like kinky and queer, and non-monogamous. So all of these things, like different communities that kind of overlap. So naturally, you just end up meeting people who have the same kind of ideas about life and the same priorities.
Yeah, you attract
and they all get
your
along.
energy, in you.
And this is one thing that I've really learned through non-monogamy is to like not be selfish about keeping really good people to myself. Like
share.
yeah, you got to share the good people. You got to introduce people who you think will get along. Because in the beginning, there was definitely a part of me that wouldn't want to introduce, like, say, someone I was casually dating or something to someone else I was casually dating in case they got along more.
It's like human nature, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're like, nah, you're not fucking having a bit of them.
You can't have them. They're mine. And like even with friends, sometimes like you have friends you're protective over because you're like they're my best friend, and like you're scared about like losing them. But
yeah,
like,
I get what you mean.
yeah, and over time, like that's something that I've really just like learned to let go of and seen the beauty in introducing all your people.
I guess, and yeah, especially, I guess. It's just, for me, it's just like the whole concept of it. No, honestly, babe, I'm so intrigued by it because it's so much, like, it's a lot. For me, I'm just thinking of like everyone's emotions. Like, have you had has any of your partners got jealous? Like, does it ever happen?
Of course it does. Like, we're human and people always ask, like, how do you deal with the jealousy?
Yeah, how do you do it?
Everyone feels jealousy, regardless of whether you're non-monogamous or monogamous. So how do you deal with it in any situation? Like, for me, I feel a feeling and then I look at it from like a step back and I think, why am I feeling like this? Like, is it because
rather than getting caught up in it and just like acting in the moment?
But yeah, exactly. Like I'm still going to feel that way. I'm still going to be like into myself, but I try not to like just put that on my partner straight away. Like if I can, I'll just be like, look, I just need a few minutes to like process this and then we come back to it or whatever, or don't reply for an hour while you have a time to think about it. Because quite a lot of the time, like jealousy comes from a place of either your needs aren't being fulfilled or you've got an insecurity or something that's making you feel a way that is perhaps a little bit kind of irrational.
And like, it projects into jealousy, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Sorry, I was so croaky there.
Yeah, but sometimes, like most of the time, I don't think jealousy is a negative thing. I think it's something that we can use as a tool to figure out how to make a situation better.
I guess it's just like controlling it, isn't it? Like being aware, it's like self-awareness again.
Exactly. It's like, why are you jealous? Are you jealous because your partner likes someone else? So why is that? Is it because you're scared they're going to leave you? Is it because you actually fancied that person and you wanted to go on a date with them? Like, where is it coming from? Is it because you haven't seen your partner in 2 weeks and they're spending time with someone else? Like, there are so many different things that it could be. Or it might just be that you're, hormonal. Sometimes for me it
women
is.
and our hormones. Do you know what I found out from like my podcast the week before? Men's hormones are actually crazier than women's.
Really?
So basically, our hormones are regulated, but like we don't really go off the scale in hormones unless like contraception, things like that. But men's hormones actually change constantly. So they change to a woman walking in the room, getting a text, like what they eat, like literally their surroundings, their fucking hormones change.
Interesting.
And we're classed as the hormonal ones.
It doesn't make any sense because if you've ever seen a man watch a football game and how upset they get.
Oh my God, I seen a TikTok of this. I was dying. And they basically cry on the floor and then you see the women players and they're completely fine.
Exactly. Also, I think women's hormones are on like a 28-day cycle, whereas men's is a 24-hour cycle.
It's constant.
Yeah, so that's why we have like more intense emotional periods, like for a week of the month or whatever.
It'll be like the start of our ovulation or then like after.
Yeah, whereas men's will be just throughout the day and then it kind of resets, I suppose.
But would you say, because you've obviously got experience dating men and women, who's easier to date?
Oh,
please. This, honestly, I've never asked anyone that's bisexual this, but I've got a feeling it's going to be women. But then at the same time, we're so emotional that I don't know if that...
I wouldn't say that I could say like it's easier or more difficult to date one because I have way more experience dating men.
Okay.
But I will say that with my girlfriend, we're much more like introspective of our feelings, and we kind of examine everything a lot more than perhaps you.
Are you more in tune with your like? Are you more in tune with each other's emotions rather than with your boyfriend? Or is it easier to communicate your feelings?
It's easier. I find it easier to get them to talk about the feelings. Sometimes it can be like
men are hard work, isn't it?
Sometimes, not always though. Like my type is like emotionally like. Soft,
I was going to say this. What's your
people.
turn-ons and what's your type? I'm very specific with my type as well. I'll tell you my type after.
Emotionally in touch musicians who have pretty faces.
I feel like we're telepathic. My boyfriend's a musician as well. No, but do you know what I mean about men? Like my boyfriend Ben, he's a good egg, but men really do not like talking about their emotions.
Not all of them, but a lot of the time, yes. And I don't think
are really good at talking about their. I've still not met any.
Well, become polyamorous and then you'll start to meet more people.
Oh my God, I couldn't. I'm too much of a bollock to be polyamory, babe. I'm very self-aware of who I am and I could never do it.
That's good. And you don't have to do it, so it's fine.
Honestly, like I'm very needy.
Yeah.
I know what.
Do you to have someone's attention all the time?
I need attention, yeah. And I don't mean in terms of like giving attention constantly, but I treat like all the people that I love around me with such a high standard, like loyalty, always considering them first, things like that. So in terms of that side of it, I just want to be treated the same back.
You could
get my drift?
You could have two partners who don't date anyone else, and then you get double the attention.
So if you don't date anyone else, do you still casually date, or do you still go to your sex parties? Do you still do everything?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we all go together.
Would that not be classed as cheating or no?
I think cheating is what essentially is when your boundaries.
They don't know.
Your cheating is when your boundaries are broken. So if you adjust what your boundaries are, like,
get ya.
You know, anyone can cheat in any situation if you break someone's trust or boundaries. So in a monogamous relationship, some people class like liking someone's Instagram photo as cheating. Like for me,
we're so sensitive. We're so sensitive.
Like, don't look at the following list.
Imagine the amount of like domestic arguments and stuff that literally like Instagram has started.
Yeah, and I've been that person like back in my monogamous days, like because
I'm like that. I'm like, why would you like our photo?
Yeah, because it's the uncertainty of it. It's like, why?
Like, why are you liking it?
Why? And I get that. I've been there, but it's like now, once you've said like, okay, we don't mind if you do that. Suddenly, it takes away all the power from it and all the possibility to get upset. To be honest, because it's not an activity that breaks a boundary.
Yeah.
So for me, like my boundary would be if one of my partners had a relationship with someone and didn't tell me about it.
You'd be like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, what? How? When? Like, what?
How do you have time for that?
What? But like, if they snogged someone, that's fine.
So that wouldn't bother you at all?
No, it wouldn't bother me.
Oh my God, you need to teach me your ways. I'm kidding. But because like, Ben, don't ever do that, please.
I know that when I snog someone, it doesn't detract from how I feel about my partners.
Yeah.
So I give them the grace of assuming the same thing. And if like hooking up with someone was going to make my partner not want to be with me anymore, then clearly they didn't have strong enough feelings for me in the beginning anyway.
You've literally set your boundaries with them and they know exactly like what you see is kind of what you get and you set it all out. So you've got the sex parties together.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Might go to one on Friday.
Do you know what? One of my friends, Julietta, she goes to all the sex parties.
Really?
They really scare me. Like, do you see some, is it not really intimidating?
So to be honest, I'm more interested in kink parties rather than sex parties.
What's the difference?
So like a kink party, there would be like a dungeon and it's more around like BDSM.
Okay.
Whereas a sex party would be like lots of
cock
bodies
swinging
fucking
everywhere.
Yeah, moaning, like the smell of pussy in the air. Like that's the one thing they don't prepare you for when you go to a sex party, is the smell.
Oh my God, I can imagine. Because you've got a hotel room and you're at it, and then you walk out, you come back, and you're like, it smells of sex in here.
Jesus Christ.
Walking through it just hits you.
Yeah.
So what's your kink parties like?
So kink parties would be more like, the ones I go to tend to be like kind of larger scale, like there might be like, I don't know, 500, 1,000 people there. Like there'd be
1,000 bodies. And Poppy, what?
It's not like a pile-on. It'd be like a dance floor as well. Right, okay. And then there'd be like a dark room.
So it's like a proper event.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Berghain? Is it Berghain?
Yeah.
So is it kind of like Berghain? Kind of Berghain vibes.
Sometimes, I guess, but more kind of focused on the kink element rather than the music. Like the music is a part of it. Or I'll go to like a private party in a dungeon with like 30 people.
So it's more intimate.
And then you know everyone there. And that's when the real fun happens.
Got ya.
Because everyone knows each other's kinks and everyone has like different dynamics.
What's your kinks?
Oh, I mean, I have loads. The list is endless. And I also identify as a switch, so I enjoy being both dominant and submissive. It just depends on the partner.
I'm definitely more submissive.
Really?
Yeah,
what are your kinks?
I like. Do you know what? I don't really have that many kinks. I like my butt plugs. I quite like mum and dad are gonna please don't listen to this, mum and dad. I quite like a bit of anal play.
Yeah. You like things to be done to you.
Yeah. He won't let me near his bum hole.
Rude.
Oh,
so rude.
I will get to it one day.
You will. Well, with
one
consent.
I'll get to it one day.
One day he'll just wake up and think, yes.
But because of the podcast, and like I've got so many friends that are in the kink industry, I find myself pretty vanilla in terms of that. But I guess it's because I've not really, me and Ben have never really explored it that much. I mean, I'd love to be tied up, stuff like that.
Oh my God, that is one of my favourite kinks at the moment. Yeah.
Like, but it's not something that like we delve into like mine's ours is just really passionate, intimate, like love you vibes.
See, and I love that as well. Like
that's like if that's a kink, that's my kink.
Oh
babe.
yeah, just being loved, loving
just
in
like,
return.
do you know when it just smothers you and like after you just like you're like this? Oh my God, that was so amazing.
I completely agree, and that's like the majority of the sex that I have is that kind of like passionate, like one-on-one, just like into each other,
like in the zone, like look into my eyes.
Oh my God, yes, you're like 2 inches away from each other, just like
that's like my kink. But I had Sherry, the dominatrix, on last week. 72 dominatrix. Nice. She's amazing. You love her, and she's got a kink for masks.
That is neat.
And I'd never heard of that.
Yeah. What kind of masks?
The Grinch.
Oh, okay. Not what I was expecting.
No, this is what I mean. The Grinch, gorilla masks. So she dresses some of her slaves up in like gorilla masks and pink tutus and makes them dance on the hills.
I mean, that is funny.
For me, I think that's hilarious.
To me, that's like not my kink, but I can enjoy it.
Yeah,
and
I
can laugh. Yeah. And it's interesting because people often think that kinks have to be sexual, but a lot of the time someone's kink or fetish doesn't actually involve sex at all.
It's very specific though, isn't it?
Yes,
very specific.
Very specific. And it's interesting hearing like how these things get unlocked as well. Yeah. Like you might just be going about your business one day and then see something and suddenly,
you're just like,
you have a kink.
That's me. So what is your kink?
So on the submissive side of things, like I really enjoy being restrained. Yeah. So like shibari, bondage.
Oh, what's that? Shibari.
Like the rope, right, like suspension, that kind of stuff. Chef's kiss. And I'm a masochist, so I enjoy receiving pain.
Do you?
I do.
In terms of what's the scale of it?
I've been told I've got quite a high pain threshold, which is not something I would have expected for myself. And I always go into a scene thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have to tap out really early, but then
and you're gonna
like,
feel
no,
pain.
I'm like
you're
into
like,
it. I'm like, more. Come on, give it to me. Is that all you got?
So what do they do? What does it range from? Do you mean like canes, all of that?
Yeah, all of that.
Oh my God, babe.
Yeah, I love a caning.
I feel like you're too nice to get caned.
And I'll happily cane someone as well.
So you can switch, like you said.
I can switch. I do actually find, for the most part, someone taught me this term, an asymmetrical switch. Ooh. So the kinks that I enjoy receiving generally aren't the ones that I enjoy giving on the dominant side of things. On the dominant side of things, I enjoy more the kind of like psychological element of it, and it's quite like a soft, sensual thing,
like mind control.
Yeah, but in like a mummy way, or in like a girlfriend way. It's like,
I've got you.
Do this thing for mummy. Go on, make her proud.
Yeah. Please me.
Go on, make me happy.
When did you start going to these sex parties?
So my partner and I went to that first sex party, which was very much like a vanilla sex party.
So it was a nice intro.
It was a nice intro.
Kind of like dipping your toes in the water a little bit.
Exactly. And, you know, it was like you had to get dressed up in like cocktail dresses and suits. And I didn't really like it because there was a bit where they bang a gong and then all the women have to strip down into their lingerie, but all the men can stay fully clothed. And I did not enjoy that
dynamic,
that gender imbalance. It's like doesn't sit right with me.
It's like, if I'm going to take my clothes off, you better take them off too.
Exactly. And my partner did, which is how you know he's a keeper.
Yeah. I was going to say brownie points for that.
Brownie points. So many brownie points. And then I started going to the kinky parties, and that was very much more kind of my pace. Like, I actually find that a lot of the time at these parties, I'm not into like there being like a whole load of bodies and everyone doing everything to anyone. Like, I'm quite selective about who I want to. Yeah, my partner. Like, I'm not going to play with like a bunch of randoms that I've just met. Like, I'd much rather like do that safely with people that I know.
It's like building relationships, because I'm guessing you see the same people, like you said, at a lot of the events.
Exactly, and it becomes very much like
a rave. I see so many people. I'm like, I seen you last night. Hi, how are you? Like, how many times can I have a conversation with one person?
And this is very much the thing as well, actually. Like, now that we all know lots of people, like in our friendship group, we have to actually try and not get stuck in conversations all night, because it's like we are actually here to like play.
Yeah, we're here to get down and dirty, guys.
Not to have a chat with everyone. And also, like, there's a weird dynamic for me as well, like owning my store. Quite a lot of time people will come up to me like, oh, I brought a vibrator from you.
And you're like, lovely.
Like, literally like getting a spanking.
Give me a review?
Hope you loved it. See ya.
What's your most sold?
The one that you don't like.
The vacuum thing.
The clit sucker.
Is it?
Yeah. Clit suckers, we sell a lot of clit suckers. People go absolutely mad for them. And I think it's because it's quite a different technology to your classic vibrator. Like, it feels very different. And we often find that people can like have multiple orgasms with them as well. Because when you use a clit sucker, it's like an air pressure thing. So it's like air like back and forth over your clit. You don't get the friction of a vibrator.
Got you.
So, you know, sometimes like you might start to feel a little bit numb, like after you've been using it for a while, it stops feeling as good. Like with the clit sucker, it doesn't really have that same effect. So
it's more intense.
It's more intense. And we also find that lots of people squirt. So we've had loads of reviews saying like, put a towel down first. And then that just sells it.
Wet floor sign.
I
just think it's actually like a really big issue that women really aren't educated on pleasure.
Oh my God. We're not educated.
We really aren't. Like, I don't even really know how to pleasure myself properly.
No, unless you dedicate time to it.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not really, like, it's not one of my big concerns, because I've got Ben and my sex life's great. But like, it does make me pretty sad that like I actually don't even really know where to fucking be. I obviously know where to start, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, for men, it's very like simple, and like it's kind of like an instruction sheet. You can watch porn, it's not really hard, get some lube, you're done. But I feel like with women, like, there's so many layers to us, and there's so many different bits on the body where you can like explore.
Exactly. This is why it's so sad that we're not taught about it, because I feel like our bodies have so much potential for pleasure.
100%.
And so many people just never get to unlock that because of, you know, the shame that we carry around sex.
How many of your women friends turn around and say, oh, I slept with him last night, it was shit, didn't come?
All the time. This is one of the main reasons I started my store.
Constant. Like, if I had £1 for every single time that any of my mates said that.
But the thing is, you also got to take responsibility for your pleasure.
100%.
You've got to know how to make yourself come if you're going to expect someone else to do it.
True.
Like, it takes two to tango.
But a lot of men really actually don't know how to. I feel like a lot of men just think, stick it in.
It's like such
like, I'm done.
No.
Oh my, and it's, you know what the best thing is like, if they finish and they go, did you
You're
come?
like, it's like, yeah, to the wrong house.
You're like, no,
I did not.
Did you? Yeah. Like, that honestly makes me crazy. Like, did you come?
No. And like, how are you so clueless? But I guess it's because
think about
they
it.
don't know.
If we as women aren't taught,
yeah,
they're really not taught.
And they only see kind of fake representations of orgasms through porn. So, yeah, I think everyone needs to be more educated about 100%. How our bodies work. Like, it's not a one-sided thing. It's not all on women or all on men. Like, it's across the board. I think it starts at like sex education. Like, we didn't even
like
get
at school. They mention nothing of female pleasure.
No, they talk about the fallopian tubes for like free lessons. But where's the clitoris? Where is the clitoris?
It's so true.
I feel like so many issues with sexuality and like bad sex, particularly heterosexual sex, sex could have been just completely avoided if we'd had one lesson about where is the clit and how does it work.
Even with lesbian women, I was talking to a friend quite a while ago, and I remember when we were just talking about like random like sex stories, weirdly, because I just love talking about sex, obviously. And even she said like the first time that she went to sleep with a woman, as a woman, she was so nervous because she didn't actually know.
Yeah, exactly. And our society mystifies the vulva so much. Like, we're always hearing all these messages like, oh, women's anatomy is so confusing. Like, it's so difficult to make them come, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, actually, it's not. Like, if you know what you're looking for, if you know what you're doing, it's not that hard.
Educate yourself, men.
Everyone needs to educate themselves. Everyone needs to educate themselves. This is why I've been filming content for the past few weeks, explicit sex education content for my OnlyFans.
Love it.
Because I feel like it's great to have this kind of, conversation here. But people are visual learners a lot of the time.
Oh, 100%.
And actually, you want to watch someone show you how to.
So you're actually doing demonstrations.
So I'm actually demonstrating. Like, one of my first videos is about fingering, and I'm demonstrating on myself all the different kind of strokes, the techniques, the anatomy to look out for. And I just think it makes it so much simpler, because when you're looking at porn, it's often not realistic.
I was going to say to you, what is your thoughts on porn? Because obviously I see a massive debate of people saying it's not ethical, there is ethical porn, it's unrealistic, it's damaging people's relationships, if people get addicted, all of this negative stuff. What do you think about it?
Well, I think porn can be a really great thing. I think it's should be used as entertainment rather than education. And I think when produced ethically, it's a wonderful, marvelous thing. And I fully support everyone like making porn at home as well.
Like amateur porn.
Amateur
like
porn.
Real.
Yeah, real
like
porn.
I had Jess and Mike on. I don't know if you've heard of Jess and Mike.
Yeah.
Amazing couple. I love them so much. I've got so much time for them. They went on Channel 4, and like I was asking them, like, is the sex that you guys have different on and off camera? And they were like, no, like I think we do so well because it's real. It's real intimacy. It's real sex.
Yeah.
It's not some made up scene that's just so fake, and they've stopped and started it, and fake coming and fake squirting and all of this stuff. They were like, it's real.
And I think that's amazing. And I think that's what we need. We need more representation of real pleasure, so that people don't watch porn and think like, oh, my body doesn't do that. I don't look like that. I'm not squirting buckets. Like, I'm not coming 7 times. Like, what's wrong with me?
It's not fucking real.
Because it's not real. It's not real. So I feel like that's a big part of education that's missing as well. Like,
I agree
the
with
fact
you.
that porn isn't how like, don't look to this.
How long have you done OnlyFans?
So I've been doing it for about a year.
Oh,
but
you're quite fresh, Baba.
Quite fresh.
I've been doing it for like 5.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Has it changed a lot over the 5 years?
So for me, it's really strange because basically when I started doing glamour, right? So I was like on page 3, published stuff, and then the feminists came in, stopped everything. We don't really, women aren't allowed to be sexualised. It's like, if you want to be sexualised, you can be sexualised. Each to their own.
Exactly, that's the point. If you sexualise yourself, that's okay.
Don't see the issue with it. Anyway, like, remember the days where tenants used to have like naked women on them?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be that woman, be that woman. Anyway, so all this stuff got shut down. Page 3 is no longer topless, all of that stuff. So I had the option of making my site, which my agency were going to take something like 35% off of. Or there was a really new site that a photographer told me about called OnlyFans, right? 5 years
Oh my God,
ago.
cutting edge right there at the beginning.
I was like, they only took 20%. I was like, I'm going to do it. And then that was it. And I went self-employed.
Amazing.
Done really well for myself. I've always done well for myself, looked after my family. I moved to London when I was 20, had my own flat. And I just don't understand people's like judgments with it. Like, I don't know, I was going to ask you about this because I'm not even going to, I'm going to start talking about myself. But I get judged all the time. Even on the podcast comments, there's so many people like giving Jess and Mike rubbish, like about doing porn, all of that. I really don't get it. Like, my family don't judge me at all. So like, my family are very...
They get it.
Yeah, they're very open.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a murderer. I'm not anything bad. I'm not doing anything wrong. But I don't know what your judgment's been like, but...
I feel like TikTok is the worst.
TikTok's so toxic. Babe.
People just don't care, do they?
Like
about
they
what
come
say?
at you with a knife.
They come at you. They're like, why are you even alive?
Ready for you.
Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing?
I don't get why people comment on stuff like that though, because it's like if you don't like the content that I'm producing, just scroll.
Just keep on scrolling.
Why are you commenting?
And I think it's very representative of someone's life. Like if they're gonna stop and post a hate comment, it's like you clearly don't have enough happiness in your life. Like that's coming from you. That's not my problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah. Is your OnlyFans like a really good safe space though? Like because I see this all the time. I much prefer my OnlyFans to Instagram.
Yeah, because people are intentionally there. They've paid to be there. They want that access to you.
I feel safer on it. Yeah. Everyone's verified. Like it's like my little safe space in a strange way.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I feel the same. I feel Instagram as well it feels like a safe community for me at the moment. The only platform that...
I'm surprised your content's allowed up, honestly. I get my stuff taken down all the time.
I get my stuff deleted too. I've just kind of reined it in, and it's really frustrating to have to censor ourselves.
It is, because it's like, if we want to express ourselves in whatever way, like, allow it, but then you've got Playboy and all these fucking... companies that are allowed to post all they want, celebrities that constantly post stuff, and it's like if they can post it, why can't we post it?
It's fine for corporations to make money off 100%. Women's bodies. It's just not okay for the actual individual woman to profit from her own body.
Preach. But you've been doing it like a year now.
I've been doing that for like a year. In the past, the content has just been kind of like lingerie and latex. I'm really into my latex. And actually like...
Latex is sexy. Don't care what anyone says.
It's so expensive though. Like I need a latex pay pig if anyone's...
Plug on.
If anyone's interested. So yeah, I do quite a lot of photo shoots with that kind of stuff, and then I make like home videos.
Yeah. Do you collab?
I do collab.
Do you?
Yeah, I do collab. But anyway, I'm like pivoting the whole direction of it now because I think it just makes more sense for me in this position as like a sex educator, a sex toy store owner, and a content creator to make content that is kind of like educational and informative.
Make it basically like an educational program.
Yeah, but still entertaining.
Of course.
Yeah, you can still have a wank to it. Yeah, like I don't mind if you're getting off.
Do your thing.
But you're going to learn something whilst you do it.
Yeah. So you're basically structuring all these programs.
Yeah, I mean, programs is a strong word.
Don't call it. What do you want to call it?
Just content videos. You know, educational pillars around like self-pleasure, partnered sex, queer sex, how to use toys, how to use a strap-on.
Have you got like a structure of everything that you're doing?
I've got a plan.
Oh my God, tell the people what plan.
The first things that I'm going to release are the how to finger yourself video, which I think is going to be really useful. And people...
a lot of women really don't know.
Well, exactly.
I think men will probably. Everyone will get from it.
Sometimes you just need someone to hold your hand and show you how to touch your pussy. And that's me. I'm that person.
Tell me how to pet her. How do I pet
How to make her happy. And then I've actually filmed a video about how to use butt plugs.
Oh my God. You need actually, do you know what? What is the proper way of using them?
You can watch the video and find out.
What? You need to tell me.
No, there isn't like a proper thing. The main thing that everyone needs to know is to not put something in their ass unless it has a flared base. Because if it doesn't have a flared base, the anal cavity doesn't have an end, and that thing can just get sucked right up there and end up in your stomach. So use a flared base, everyone.
So you have to.
Yeah, don't be putting like a carrot up your bum or something, like the TV remote. Like you might end up in A&E. Just buy a butt plug for Christ's sake. A cucumber, that's quite impressive if you're getting that lost up there.
Imagine it comes out the other end, it touches a lung. I actually can.
Just don't do it. And you know what? I've heard horror stories as well about people using butt plugs where the flared base is like really small, and because they're used to like bigger things, it just gets like sucked straight up.
Oh my God. Have you got any horror stories of anything at like any of these sex parties?
No, I mean, no.
That laugh.
I'm just thinking,
Poppy.
the thing that just comes to mind is just like all the piles of like, piles is a horrible word, all the like pools of just like unidentified liquids by the end of the night. You know, like you go to sit down on the sofa and you're like, oh, no, that's a bit wet. It's just gonna sit over there. I'm just gonna stand.
Have you got any, what was your worst sex experience?
Oh my God, my worst sex experience. Bloody hell.
I think mine was just losing my virginity, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, just because it was just so underwhelming, and it was just like, I was so young.
How old were you?
I was 14.
Yeah, I was 15.
And I was really young. And I feel like my cousin like ushered me into it. Like I feel like I got so
What?
So basically, we were at this boy's house, right? And like, looking back on it, look, I'm going red. Can you see? Right? I've actually never spoke about this properly.
Oh, it's like a therapy session.
The more I look at it, the more it's really fucking weird. And I got so bammed up. Like, my mum knows now. And we're at this boy's house, and I was with my cousin, we're having drinks and stuff. And then I just remember, like, I basically got, like, forced up the stairs with this guy. Like, and my cousin's like, yeah, go.
Okay.
Right? Then it happens. I'm feeling pretty shit about it. She phones my auntie and tells my auntie, like, Shannon's just lost her virginity and just bams me up. I'm like, why did you do that?
Does she have an ulterior motive here?
We don't get on. We don't speak anymore. She might probably like end up watching this podcast or whatever. But
that's not okay.
The more I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Not
to
okay.
phone my auntie and be like, yeah, she just slept with him, and I look like a little hussy. That was my story.
Oh God. And I don't have a good virginity story either. Like, mine was a bit dodgy. Mine was someone I met on MySpace.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was 15 and they got me a bit drunk and I ended up having sex with them.
Were they older?
Only like a year or two.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, like...
Because you hear of that quite a lot.
Yeah, and I look back on that, and like, to be honest, most of my sexual experiences in my teens as well. Like,
were they really not that great? Have you got any stories that are bad? I'm trying to think if I've got any that are really, really bad, but I don't actually think so. Apart from just sometimes me not really feeling it. You know, you get a pencil dick. A pencil. Anyone ever had a pencil dick? And you're just like, it's like a little hot dog.
This is why we have toys, because if someone, you know, doesn't have equipment that you want to use, you can just get out a dildo and you can have a fun time with that as well. You know, we shouldn't penis shame.
Get to the store. I know, because no, it's true. Penis shaming's bad because people always say does size matter, and it doesn't really.
I don't think
it's how you use it.
Especially since I've been having more queer sex and sex with people with vulvas. Like, you realise that, yeah, you really don't need a penis to have good sex.
Yeah, because honestly, the amount of like people that I hear that are queer that actually say that they have better sex with other people rather than someone with a dick.
Well, absolutely, because there's no like hard end. It's like sex always ends when the guy ejaculates in heterosexual sex, or like that's the narrative that we've been fed. When you're having sex with someone else with a vulva, you just keep going.
Keeps going.
You just keep going because you're like, well, why not?
Ring the bell. And then at the end you're like, I need to tap out.
That's enough. I'm calling it.
Get the white flag. But no, I think it's just important for people to like talk about their sex stories, sex education. Yeah. It's such a normal part of life. It's how we're produced.
Well, exactly. This is why I talk about it all, because, you know, so many people carry so much shame about it, and it's such a natural part of life. And
it's how we're made.
It's how we're made. But I also find, like, when I'm sexually satisfied, I feel more creative. I feel more excited about life.
It's such a huge part of who you are. Your sex drive, your sex life, everything. Like, you can tell when someone is like having a great time in their sex life because they've got a glow about them.
They're glowing.
You're like,
that's straight into a meeting. Like, yeah,
you can tell.
You can tell.
Am I glowing?
You really are glowing.
My boyfriend's on fucking tour, babe.
There's butt plugs.
Where are they?
This is the perfect time to explore yourself then.
I know, I might just have to, you know.
Yeah. You might learn something.
Plug me at your sex shop.
I just use your hands.
Have you got a physical store?
We are on the internet exclusively.
So it's like an e-com?
It is, yeah. We have a warehouse. Orders are sent out, but unless you want to come to my flat, you can't really see the toys in real life.
I might just get them for ornaments, you know. They are so
glass
pretty.
toys. Glass toys especially make really nice ornaments. We sell one that's like in the shape of a penis, and it just makes really nice, like on a bookshelf, on a coffee table, little conversation.
It just finishes it off.
Yeah,
it's like little small touches.
Yeah, it's just
walk into a room, I'll be like, I know what that's missing. A glass dildo.
A glass penis.
A glass penis.
Yes.
You've not really had much judgment online or that, have you?
No, not really. But I also do just kind of like block it out.
Yeah, you don't allow it. You don't allow it to.
Yeah, like one thing that I found is when I've posted on TikTok about being bisexual, and I've said that I'm attracted to like two or more genders, or like it doesn't really matter what gender people are.
Gender doesn't matter to you at all.
People are always like, well, you're pansexual then? You're pansexual? But it's like, why are you telling someone how they identify? Like, to me, gender does often still play a part in my attraction to someone. I'm not gender blind when it comes to it. So just let me live my life and be bisexual.
Stop trying to put
Put a bloody label on
what's
me.
it called? Label. I couldn't think of it. Stop
I'll pick my own
labeling
labels.
me. Just let me live.
And the only other story I have of someone judging me like in real life was I went to a queer salsa class, and I went with my partner, who's a man. We're both bisexual. And at the beginning of the class, this woman was like, oh, why are you stood over here with us, Mr. Man? Like, go stand with the men. Like, we're not interested in you over here. And I was like, oh.
Excuse me?
Actually, some of us are bisexual, actually. And she was like, don't worry, you'll make your mind up eventually. I was like,
stop it. She did
actually,
not.
I don't have to because I have a man and a woman in my life.
I can do what I want.
She was like, oh, how does that work? Do they all just get a little bit of your love?
Do you get people saying to you like, oh, you're greedy, all of this? Do you get anyone ever saying that?
Not as much as I thought I would, actually. No, like sometimes...
I think you create you create kind of like your environment online, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I've got quite like a safe
space,
and I surround myself with people who are generally like similar and open.
Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I mean, all I get is what you said earlier is just like random collages and just being humbled every once in a while.
It's very humbling, this line of work, isn't it?
It's fine.
I get a lot of DMs because I do dress up in latex and go to Kink pies and all that kind of stuff. Like people assuming that I'm a pro dom, like, or just like horny men who just like see one picture of someone in a latex corset.
I mean, you could be a dominatrix, couldn't you? You can get into that role quite easily.
I could, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And I get quite a lot of messages like, "Hello, mistress."
And you're like, I'm not mistress.
I'm not mistress, babe.
Do you get anything strange on your OnlyFans?
I have had some interesting requests.
I've had some really weird ones. Not weird in terms of sexual.
Really?
I had someone ask me to like take a video of me washing my hands and send them
I would
it.
so do that.
And I was just I was just really confused. I was like, what made you wake up and be like, can I have a video of you washing your hands?
Did you do it?
I don't even know if I did, you know.
If someone was going to pay me, I would do that.
She's kind of like, I think they wanted to tip like $10 a night, but I have to make it more worth my while. Worth my while.
After the 20% is gone, it's like a fiver.
Yeah, people don't realise this about OF. I'm like, you tip me $30, it's lovely, but I get like £18 of that. They're taking my money. What's the most you've ever been tipped? Mine's is about $1,000, I think, $1,000. Yeah, for my birthday. Yeah.
Oh God, I need more. I need to get more subscribers.
Babe, your community will grow. Trust me.
Yes, well, I think now I'm going to be making this educational content as well. Like, I'm interested to see if I get more female subscribers as well, and like, because at the moment it is predominantly.
Do you know
men.
what's really hard though? Unless they put their username as blah blah, you'll never know.
No, you never know.
You never really know.
I've found that there hasn't really been any women that have spoken to me. Like, quite often men, you can tell it's a man.
Men for me.
Yeah.
Always men.
The women
unless it's a man posing as a woman because they're too scared. I have no idea. But mine's is all men, I think.
Is it?
I think
the women...
I'll probably have the odd occasional woman, or I'll probably have girls signing up if they're nosy. Or...
Yeah, well, that's it. People want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what do their nipples look like?
Yeah, I'm like, my nipples look good, honey.
Come and see.
They look great. But you've been amazing, Poppy. Guys, make sure you check out our store if you want to pleasure yourself. If you guys want to get great education, she's your gal.
Please come follow me
Yeah.
and come.
Quite literally. We want all the orgasms. But you've been amazing, babe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
It's been great. And on that note, guys, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.